So hi guys, I'm James. I'm the backend engineer at Metabob, and I am the one who worked on this API specifically. And today we're gonna go over how to use this API. So so the API, so our API is able to provide repo data analysis result, repo problems, and unfortunately not issues right now due to a internal problem we have currently. So our API is divided into three routes. A public repo route, which is like how you get every single repo. A repo route, which is more for accessing individual repo, assuming that you know what repos you need. An analyst route, which is used to pull analysis results from pull requests. So the public repo route. So you should start at the public repo route because you don't need any repo information such as repo ID to pull it. Like this route will pull like a page which is default to 25 of like what repo you want, and I can show you how to change that um down later in the presentation so that you're pulling like different pages and not the same pages all the time. The second set of routes we have are the repository route. This is for assuming that you know which repo you want to look at, and each one of these will provide you specific information about them, and how you can pull up refs and analysis results for that specific repo. Analysis route is the route that will allow you to get problems for that specific repo, and along with analysis and statistics about that ref that you pulled down. And so the docs page, so this is where most of the information about like the API is going to be on, and we're going to start playing around with that right now. And so this is like the Metabob docs page, which I'm going to put in the chat right now. If anybody can get access to that, that would be really cool. So obviously, the first thing you want to do is go on the click on the get public repo route and press try it out. From there, you will get like 25 repo with the ID, name, and reference. Let's say you want to get the next set of 25, right? So this will return 25 to 50, and you get another set of repos. But however, if there's less than 25 repo, it will just cap out at whatever number is available. And this query can go up. You can pretty much query. This is how you control how much data you're getting fed in at once. And if to know whether the data is over is like the response body is pretty much empty. So let's say you also have like issues. I mean, you also can put in the refs and the stats flag, which means that you want to add statistics of the repo to it, along with the reference of like the repo there. So each repo has like certain refs and stuff, A6, and these are like last analysis. And for every single one of these repos, like these are extra header flag. I mean, these are extra includes that you can put in your parameters, all separated by a comma. I'm gonna show you that how you do that in later in a bit. So let's say you find this repo's ID 72, right? You want to like break it down completely, so you can go to get single repo, put that on there, and it will show you the 72. Let's say you want to get the refs of this specific repo. You can get a bunch of these ref IDs here and stuff. And let's say you want to get the latest ref of 72, since you can't really tell which, or you want to get all the refs of 72, you can simply go to here, refs, and it would show all the refs of 72. like that's all the references of that specific repo. Includes our now let's just if you want to include analysis on there, and they all have like messages, hopefully, on some of the data sets. And let's say you're not able to figure out which one's the latest analysis, right? You can simply go down to the analysis, which is this repository right here. This simply like gets you the latest analysis given the repo ID. And the latest one, as you can tell right here, is 916. That's like the latest ref ID. And because now you have access to a ref ID, right? You want to, you probably want to like, okay, I want to get all the problem. I want to get all the problems of that ref ID right here, and this will return like the first 25 problems or whatever's less of like auto ref, all the problems that line of code has. Another thing is, let's say you have a bunch of ref IDs that you want to pull, like i.e. you parse into line you want to you want to get all the refs of repository 72. You can just pull every single one of these IDs out, 912, 913, 914, and you can drop it all into this 912, 913, and it will give you a ref of it will return the ref of 912 and 913 right there. And this is what doing multiple and this is what like the list request does. So now let's actually demo and see it in person in a web application. So the simple web application we built is it would just pull a bunch of repository names, and then it would and then we'll just and then we can let's just start with just pulling the repository names out. So what this does is saying, hey, I want the first 25 repositories that are public, and I want you to output it onto this into a list. Just give it the name and the ID. Then it will just show up right here. Let's say you want the first 30 repositories. You can simply in the parameters page size you can change to 30 and it will be done, and it'll drop 30 repository. Let's say I also want some things like I want to be able to get the references or like let's just get the stats of every single one of these in our request parameter. So in our include, we can also have stats, and as you can see in stats also, and if you take a look at our console, right? If you pay attention to it, we now have like the stats repository in there, which shows all the categories and using that specific header. Just using jQuery just because like of how common it is in terms of web applications. Every single language, it will be different, but it's a parameter request. So for Python, it will be params. JavaScript, depends on what version of JavaScript you're using. Like for the version of JavaScript I'm using, it's mainly this is how you do it for Ajax JavaScript. And so let's say we have like all these repository right here. Okay, I'm really interested in the Pythantic repository. Obviously, you can write code to manually get it out. Let's say I want to get latest ref. So get latest ref. So function get latest ref, and then you have in repo underscore ID. And so to get that, you simply you will go back to your documentation, get latest ref, say request URL. ID. Data. Say let's print out our data. Console.log data. And we need to call this function. So say get latest ref repo ID of 77. And simply just refresh and it'll run that. So we just got the latest ref, which is looks like it's 930. We can confirm it by using this. So we can type in 77 right here. 930. Yep, that's correct. Now let's try to get the ref ID. So I'll say we should console.log data dot ref dot ID. So this should return us 930. Try 930 returns right here. And so I'm gonna omit this out for now just because it's slowing down. 930. So now we got that. I wonder the latest ref. So I now want to call get problems. And obviously that okay, do user ID equals get prob or ref ID equals get problems, and call get problems dot add ref ID, and let's see what happens next. We get a problem list of all the refs in of 77, and we can double check that by going 930 into problems right here. And if we were to compare this side by side with our result index, the cost of problem of function get field name is not defined in a class field. We pretty much see that we were able to pull that data from we were able to use a repo ID and grab the latest reference and pull all the problems from the latest reference ID like that. So obviously you can simply, if you want to do it for all of these, it'll be simply just run a for loop through it like so. Let's say we wanted to let's make it a little bit more interesting. So repo ID equals element dot ID, and then we can just get call get latest ref, and then we can type in repo ID. Let's see how this thing's gonna play out. So it's a huge request as we speak right now, and we are practically pulling in all the So we're practically like pulling the latest problems from the latest every single one of these public repositories right there using that function. And you can tell it's a lot. That's why it's very slow sometimes. Does anyone have any questions before about what you guys might want to know about this repo? And by the way, I'm gonna push this version up right now on GitHub.
Yeah, please feel free to unmute yourself, or you can just put any question in the chat too. We're monitoring those chats.
Yeah, you can also, if, when the presentation continues, yeah, just feel free to chat throughout, and we can queue them up later. So. None for now. I guess, James, do you want to just continue?
I think that's all. I mean, that's pretty much all. Like that's a demo pretty much. If I can, like, I went over how to use params or how to use our params and stuff like. If you want to play with params, like these are the params of like the functions, and like how to adjust certain things in here.
So, James, one question that seems to be resonating with people is, are those repos already predefined in the API?
Yes, there are. If you were to go on like let me say if you were to type in this by itself with these parameters, those data will show up immediately. So if you run this code on any or like pretty much pull up this code on any computer, it will show up. If that makes sense.
We can yeah, we can just stay in the queue for a while. If you guys have any more questions, we can hang out.
Can you tell us this is vanilla JavaScript? I'm not too familiar with vanilla JavaScript. So you probably just need to look up a GET request in vanilla JavaScript and it'll probably be there on the internet. Like there has to be a library for it. I mean, I'm using jQuery just because it's much more simpler for like this project, for like this demo purposes. So nothing language specific I can help you with, unfortunately. Sorry about that though. How do we add another repo? Can you explain to me what you mean by add another repo? Or feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah, Avinash, you can also talk as well. You don't have to type it out.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Okay, so what I meant is these repos are already predefined in the API, right? Suppose if you want to work on some other repo and we need to debug it, so how do we add those repo?
Oh, to the API, and you guys have no permission to push data onto the API. So unfortunately, you cannot do that for security reasons. Unfortunately, the issues flag is currently disabled right now just because of how we ran into last minute development issues with the API.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Perfect. Thank you, Avinash. Manas asked, could you show a repo that has issues, James?
We don't have that feature up right now. Like
Okay.
we had to cut that feature last minute.
Okay. Anything else you guys wanna just ask or discuss, or it could be also just overall hacks and related.
You just have to use the API in some form of the way. So it can be with the data set. It could be like yeah. So pretty much, yes, Muhammad, that's what we are looking for.
Yeah. Also, Mohammed, there was in the introduction to the event, our CTO went over a few potential examples of what to build, specifically like a web app, a command line utility, communication tool, a visualizer. It's entirely up to you. Yeah.
What kind of data to expect? So you can just simply go on the docs page and like play around with it, and you will see a type of data you would expect. Is there any specific data you're looking for? Oh, the problems? Sure. The problem, you're gonna get like problem ID, location of the problem, line number, what line does it end, and what category is it? It is pydantic, and so pretty much you can understand what kind of problem you're gonna get. Is it we can replicate the index.js code in Python, right? Too, right? Yes, you could do this in Python. This, especially since this was written in Python, I have personally tested with Python GET requests for testing purposes. So yes, you could use it in Python.
Okay. Anything else? And for those who just joined, or maybe who joined like 5-10 minutes ago and maybe missed the first demo or explanation that James made in this presentation, we're recording this, so we're gonna upload it on YouTube and share on Discord. So you can just go back and listen to it if you'd like.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. I do want to be considered. Oh, Ayush has a question, James.
Please. I have not seen this. Where I would not use. I have not seen this data set. It's probably just the raw data set of our examples. So I would just not use this and just go straight to docs. Just it's a JSON file of our docs file folder. So there's nothing there for you to really process, just because like it's mainly just a bunch of dummy values like these. Any other questions?
If there's no other questions right now, again, Ayush will answer your question here. Just if there is any other questions that you guys don't have right now that you come up with later, please ask it in the Discord, and we'll get back to you as well.
Oh, how can we know which value to put it onto the auth ID? So if you're trying to get a repo ID, you just need to, you can just try out and you will see like this is like this ID. This ID, this is like the repo ID in like your get public repo 71. And type that, simply type that 71 you here, and you would get that data set if that's what you're asking for. Um, 930. Branch presence, I'm not familiar with. Reference, we do not have access to branch presentation. Oh, the 930 is like the oh, let me change it in the slides really quick. Oh, 9. Reference, these are reference IDs. And not too like reference IDs, if that makes sense. So 930, 931, like
Go ahead, James. Sorry.
Oh, I was like saying, do you have anything else to say?
I was thinking maybe because the block is scheduled for another half hour, so maybe if what we can do is stop the recording, but then we can all just stay on the Zoom and work individually, and maybe we can just use the last 30 minutes as like an open workshop. So if you guys have any other questions while you begin to work on it right now, feel free to just use the chat again for the next 30 minutes, and we can just all stay on. Does that sound okay? Could I get some thumbs up or maybe something like that in the chat to signify if that makes sense to people? Okay. Perfect. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we can stop the recording now.